Hello, everybody. It's Boxing Bros UK. Here's Chris. This is my co-host Andrew, the Boxing Brain. Today we're going to do a weekly roundup of the weekend's boxing. Obviously, there was a boxer show on, and a Queensbury show, and a PBC show on. So there's quite a lot of boxing, but not really a lot of good fights, to be honest. So we're just going to briefly touch on all the main topics and the main fights
and we
of the
ain't even going
weekend.
to mention the Aziz fight because that was so bad it ain't even worth mentioning. So there's that one.
Oh no, jeez. Oh yeah, that was terrible. I'm sorry for Dan Aziz. I think since the Muatsi loss, he's just lost a step, and he was kind of his performances were declining a little bit before that. Like he wasn't really looking good when he was winning before that, and then the Buatsi fight's nailing the coffin, and he fought that nobody, but we didn't know how good he was. And remember the last fight, he ended up losing it. But firstly, we're going to play a clip to Tim Tsyzu, Costa Tsyzu's son. He was an email champion. He didn't beat a champion to get the belt. He got elevated. He got elevated to champion, I believe, IBF. And he fought someone.
He won it in the last fight.
Yeah, vacant. Vacant title. And he fought some Chechen guy.
Yeah, Murtazalia.
Yeah. He's from the same place as Baterbiev, where those guys are made of nails, mate. They're made of steel. He fought one of them guys. And he took a really bad pasting. Great decision to throw the towel in. Very, very brave kid. He made a few mistakes, but anyway, let's get into his post-fight interview. Let's watch this and see what we made.
On tonight, you know, you have your good nights and your bad nights, and tonight was just one of those things. I don't think it changes anything in regards to who Tim Tsyzu is, and probably, if anything, showed the warrior that lives inside him that he's never going to back down from anyone. And whenever Tim Tsyzu fights, that's how he'll always show up. So from us, we're still super proud, and I know all the texts I got from Australia, you know, right behind Tim, and you know, it's just one of those nights. And I'll let just fire away a few questions to Timmy if you want, not too many.
Did clash unnerve you at all when you obviously thought you may have reopened that wound at all?
Can't recall.
Yeah, Timmy, just on that, it felt like when you got buzzed early that you kind of maybe lost your feet a little bit and just had to fight on instinct after that point?
Can't recall. Honestly, can't recall.
Tim, Kevin Garcia with Fight Hype.
Yeah.
And the next bit. Takes a minute. Come on.
Here's my question. Just explain whatever you're thinking about right now after that. You know, obviously I don't want to ask you how do you feel because we know it's a tough loss for you, but just what's going through your mind?
What the fuck just happened? Like, what did I get hit with? And couldn't regroup, and I don't know, man. Just shit doesn't go your way, and you just have to bounce back, you know. And I was positive after the Fundora, but I got to find more answers with this one, you know. Like, this didn't go according to script. It was a little bit different. I felt unbelievable, I'll be honest with you. Felt unbelievable. I had a great prep, so he got me, man, and it was a better man on this night, and we live and we learn.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Tim.
Thanks, Timmy.
Thanks, Timmy.
I'd just like to say one thing. Fair play for him to taking it like a man, being humble in defeat. But it was really uncomfortable, man. Take it away, Andrew.
Yeah, I wanted you. We spoke today, and I wanted you to use this clip because I don't think sometimes we talk enough about this in boxing, and I would like us to kind of cover all angles. And look, here's clearly, we're both advocates of mental health and well-being, Chris, aren't we? And and I think
Yeah, for
sometimes
sure, for sure.
we don't look into this with fighters, and I hope he gets a lot of aftercare. But to me, looking at the body language, he's extremely dejected. Of course, he's just got an absolute beat to him. And he come off the split
Sizing.
decision MD or whatever it was against Fundora. And he's gone in as probably the A side, even though the guy had the IBF belt, didn't know much about him. But his whole body language, demeanour, is clearly concussed. I'm not sure he should have even done any interviews. Fair play to him for trying. I know with AJ against Dubois, Eddie Hearn actually told him not to do any interviews, but AJ wanted to do a little bit. He was confused. He couldn't recall anything. He's dazed. He's clearly really upset about the whole thing. You can just tell, like he's the way he's talking, his mannerisms. What did I get hit with? It was almost like, Chris, I hope none of this hasn't happened to anyone that's watching, but it was like he felt he'd been like you're walking down the street and something's just fallen on your head, and he just has no idea where he is or what's happened. It's just I wanted to kind of lean into that a bit, and then I'll get you to come back in, Chris, because I think we have to sometimes. I'm not criticising the management so much, but I think if that was me, I'd have sort of said, look, let's just kind of hide away now. Let's get you medically checked over. I'm sure he was anyway. Get an early night, good night's sleep. I'm going to ring you in the morning. Let's see how you are. Let's regroup. Let's not stick a load of microphones in his face and cameras. And he didn't want to be in that interview, did he? Do you know what I mean? And
no.
Anyway, what do you think, Chris? There's my strong feelings on it. Perhaps you have a different.
Sometimes, like, fighters are fighters to the end. Like, he didn't want to quit. He kept getting up and trying to fight, but he just didn't have it there, and he was really, really hurt. He was really hurt, and maybe he wanted to do the interview. He didn't want to shy away. Like some people, when they lose, like they can't take it and they don't give after interviews, and then they front it the next day. Which sometimes I think that's probably the best way. Some people, like Ben Whittaker, they don't give interviews. They turn off their social media and they hide behind their promoter. But like
as well, a lot of the time,
yeah. So it just depends on the person. But fair play to the lad. Fair play to him. For me, I think you're right. Sometimes we've got to remember they're human beings. Like I know where everyone loves boxing, and we all get a bit over the top and a bit excited and carried away. But sometimes, like seeing that, they're human beings, and like that made me. It's like he was like a little kid who just been through something traumatic, and people are trying to ask him about it.
And he had been something traumatic. He'd suffered, and for the first time in his pro game, and as an absolute pasting. That wasn't a defeat. He got absolutely beat up. And how many times, Chris, have we seen fighters never the same, never come back after that? Now, I hope he does. I'm not, but he can still come again. I don't really know where he goes from here, but he looked incredibly dejected to me. It was a real whitewash of a defeat. He kept taking the left hook all night. He didn't make any adjustments in the fight. Getting onto the analysis of the fight, he kept jumping up too quick, not getting his legs back underneath him. Feel your legs a bit before you try and beat the 10 count. He's taking the left hook all night, not making a little adjustment to get the hand up the guard.
He just couldn't keep his hand there
with fire, and it was really, really bad.
Not nice to watch.
Yeah, hard to watch. Another one. Hard to watch.
Yeah, and I just think like it's a shame. But the thing is, where does he go? He needs to rebuild. But like people are talking about him going up to middleweight, but he's not that big. Do you know what I mean? So I
No,
think probably like light middle is probably his weight class, and that's he's reached the ceiling because who's in that weight class? You've got Crawford, you got what's his face,
Magic, yeah,
Charlo's coming back,
yeah, yeah,
Majamov's there, Boots Ennis might be moving up there. Like there's killers in
yeah.
that division, killers. There's
Virgil
killers
Ortiz.
there, man.
I mean,
Virgil
I've got.
Ortiz.
I mean, there's guys in and around the top 15. You know, your Callum Walshes, your Ramoses. You know, I don't know, Josh Kelly and Liam Smith over this way. George Garcia. But honestly, Chris, I don't really know where he goes from here. I mean, he ain't going to get the Fundora rematch. I don't see that happening. Look, he's going to have to rebuild somehow. He's 28, 29. I don't really know where he goes, if I'm honest. I've no
Yeah,
idea. There's fights out there,
mate.
but he needs mentally and physically to recover from that.
Yeah,
For
for sure.
6 months at least, if not more.
For me, if I was him, I'd try my look at middleweight. You know, I'd try my look at middleweight, see how he does there. And that's all I can really say on that matter because,
Well,
you
that's
know,
not a bad
it's
choice, Chris, because the middleweight division is a bit of a kind of free, other than Shiraz and you know, some other ones off the. You know, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but
Lara.
yeah, so Lara's obviously coming to the end of his career. You've obviously got the Janabek is obviously Shiraz is fighting him, and you got your Tyler Denny's and your Denzel Bentley's on the domestic scene, and you got some good opera, you know, and Williams. Maybe because
Yeah, so
there's loads of fights at middleweight, and the competition isn't as fierce. I don't
yeah,
think so.
like middleweight, there's killers in there. But let's move on to
Yeah.
the boxer. We'll go to we'll do the boxer card first. So
Yeah.
Dan Aziz, Edmondson, not really a great fight. Edmondson got the win. Dan Aziz on the decline didn't really look great. He had his moments in the fight, but it was and that was main event. It was a pretty poor card, to be fair. It's supposed to be O'Hara Davis and Adam Azim main event, but then that got moved to the chief support, and that fight was a bit of shit as well. OD didn't have it, doesn't have it anymore. Got stopped. Wasn't really the best fight. Same with the Aziz Edmondson fight. I think Adam Azim fight Dalton Smith. Stop fucking ducking, man. You can sit there and say it to my face all you want. We don't care. We just want you to see you fight Dalton Smith. You had the title. You vacated it to fight Harlem Eubank. You didn't fight Harlem Eubank. You fought one of your fucking good friends in a shit fight. Just fight Dalton Smith. Stop all the games. No one cares about. It's not schoolboys. Let's meet after school and have a fight. Say it to my face. It's boxing. It's a sport. You had a European title. You decided to vacate it and not fight. End of. So you can act tough guy all you want. You duck the fight. Simple. That's my view on it. Anyway.
Yeah, I actually, the Dan Aziz one, I'm not even mentioning because it was terrible. We'll get on to Yarde in a minute. I actually thought the Adam Azim performed, that's the best I've seen him. I thought, I mean, look, O'Hara's retired now. They're good friends, actually, aren't they, Adam Azim and O'Hara? I think Adam Azim paying for their dinner yesterday or today. So, but yeah, he's retired now. Trying to wing in those big right hands all night. Had his nose broke. Did show a lot of heart, O'Hara. I will say that. Did show a lot of heart, especially after the Roto fight, getting starched in one round. He did show a lot of heart. Look, he was a lot slower. He couldn't assess and download Azim's speed. What I'll say about Azim, I was having a real him in this fight, and you can only judge off the opponent in front of him. O'Hara's not. I mean, he's retired for a reason now, right? But I tell you what, Adam Azim's hand speed is insane. He carries that hand speed right through the fight. Got more pop than what you would think, and yeah, there's definitely things he needs to work on, and like you say, I think some of the things you were saying there was true. But I actually thought it was his best performance so far. I know that's not saying much, but I do want to see him now, even if it's not the major fight. I do want to see him going up a few levels now, Adam Azim. I mean, who have we got in there? You've got obviously Dalton Smith. You got the pro-grade Catterall. You know, maybe the loser of that one. That might be interesting. The loser of pro-grade. I don't know if that could be made. Who else you got? You got Sandor. What? Yeah, I'll tell you what. Other than me mentioning sort of like Josh Taylor, Matthias, all that. What about like someone like Rolly Romero, who's a bit hit and miss?
Shit! Do you know what? That would be a brilliant fight because Rolly's got the chatter. But I think Rolly's with PBC, and PBC are just like they're set in their ways. They're behind. Hard to work with. They're not on board. I think they're the only promotional outfit that aren't working with the Saudis properly yet.
Yeah.
So
I always forget the kind of broadcasters because PBC are a little bit
politics. They've got some politics shit.
And kind of if he doesn't do, because I don't think he's quite ready for Dalton Smith, who I rate. I know a lot of people rate. But I was looking at the names, right? Pitbull, these guys, right? And I was thinking, I wouldn't put him Sandor Martin, any seasoned veteran like that. I think like Roddy Romero, like if they could, that would be good matchmaking. But other than that, I don't really know, to be honest. Like there are fights. Maybe the loser of Catterall or Pogray. Would he be ready for a Catterall or Pogray? I don't know if he would.
Definitely not. I don't think so. They're going to build in. He might fight Pogray because I do think Catterall's going to win that fight. Look out for our pre-fight prediction on Fort's video coming this week on that fight because it's this weekend. Just letting you guys know.
Pitbull, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Pitbull Cruz.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely not. It could be. I don't know. Yeah, it depends. It depends on because I think Shane McGuigan he's even said I'm building carefully, cautiously. He basically said I don't give a shit what anyone says. I'm going to pick the right fights at the right time for my fighter. End of.
Fair enough.
We ain't. And you can't. Yeah, we're not seeing Dalton Smith, and that's fair enough. But what I will say is, you ain't going to be with that attitude. You won't be in rider season because Turkey Al Sheikh really mainly puts on 50 fights really. So especially if you're an up and coming talent. So
well, you're right on that, Craig. I guess we do have to remember he's still only 22. Like I actually when I double checked his age, I had to take a step because I'm with you, right? I know we get carried away. We recognise the talent, good hand speed, cracking jab, and I like the way in the fight he was. I don't think George Groves. I think it was George Groves in the commentary. Always like it might have been Shane McGuigan who said it. Sometimes he was turning that lead hand into a hook quite a lot, and I'd have just liked to see him just use a straight jab a lot more. I actually thought, fucking hell, he's only 22. Like he's very young. He's very young.
Yeah, he's a baby. He's a baby. But like, so he's got to go at his own pace. Right. So the Yarde fight. Thoughts?
Oh, I knew you were going to come to me first on this, Chris. Well, and I think we're going to probably agree most on this. Look, we all know it's all around media. All the main channels that all our subscribers probably watch as well. We're not going to go against the grain on this because I think we feel the same. But his career's been mismanaged. He either seems to fight bums that he goes life and death with, or fights the top guys, the Beterbievs and the Kovalevs of this world, and then nothing in between. Inactivity. A bit like Ben Whittaker. I don't really know what this guy is, Chris. This is a physically strong guy, and sometimes like some of the other fights I've seen against this Vilkan killed this guy with a padded record. You know, he's trying to pot shot and he's trying to move around and he's trying. For me, the guy should be kind of closing up. I'm not saying he had a great fight with Beterbiev, but he should be just tucking his chin in, getting that guard up and walking guys like that down and just putting the work in. Good inside work. He's a good inside fighter. Look what he did to Linden after that second fight. What is this? Do we know? Do we really know what
the thing
Yarde
is? What I think happened there is where he put him down in the first rounds, like with that knockdown. Sorry, he was chasing the knockout, but let's give some respect to that Vilkan kid, yeah, because he got put down in the first 10 seconds. He was tough. He was tough as old boots, that kid, yeah, and he was game, but he didn't have any power, so he couldn't earn Yarde's respect. But he was having it with him in the pocket, so it's like, I just think Yarde hasn't got the best boxing skills. Like, so when he's in the pocket, he hits hard, but like you say, he's not outworking people in the pocket. And like, I think he's in love with his power a bit. So that kid was like landing combinations, and then he'd hit him a few times, hurt him, and that kid would back off. And like, instead of carry on working, going in for the kill, he was like admiring his power, taking his time. Then he started turning into Mayweather, doing that fully shell. It's like, I think he needs to do one or the other. And in the last round, when he was just throwing his jab and relaxing in and boxing a little bit, he was doing well. And he should have just done that the whole fight instead of trying to force the knockout. And like, you can't pressure someone. If you're pressuring someone, you got to let your hands go. You got to close the ring down. It reminded me a bit of Jerome Miller, like closing him down, putting your head down, just like standing there and then throwing hard shots now and then. Like, it wasn't really like working it in the pocket. And to be fair, that kid made it difficult as well.
No, he to be fair, he let him off the hook, Yarde. He let him back in it, and then it got a little bit, tougher night's work. But maybe that was standing in good stead. But I'll tell you what, I do wonder, I do theorise. I wonder because, again, he's another one of these heavily muscular guys as well. I do wonder whether he worries about gassing out. But I think
100%.
If I was in his corner, if I was his psychologist, sports psychologist, I'd be sort of saying to him, I'd be trying to get to the bottom of it. Okay, what's going on here? Because say for instance, hypothetically, he comes in and goes, this is my style. This is what I want to do. I want to let my hands go for 6-7 rounds. But if I don't get them out of there, I'm worried I'm going to gas. And I'd say, well, but that's your strengths. That's your strong suit. If you don't get them out there, cross that bridge when you get there. But that I'm not sure. It's easy for me to say this, I know. I'm not sure this kind of stepping off. But Beterbiev don't. So work on your gas tank more. I don't know. Like, do something.
Yes. I think what my thing is,
in one moment, trying to sort of pop shot from a distance another moment. Then you're like, I better empty the tank like you did against Kovalev because your corner told you to, and then you completely gassed and got knocked out with a jab. And then you're going into this fight, and it's like you say, you're turning into a light heavyweight Mayweather when you're built like a wrecking ball and should be closing fighters down because I'm so confused with Joshua Yarde and Ben Whittaker at the moment. It's unreal because I don't know what they're trying to do.
That's it. And I just think my problem with Yarde is it's like his trainer. I don't think he's like Anthony Yarde he hasn't got any better since he hasn't got better since he's fought Kovalev. He's just got the same kind of level. Like he's good because he's freakishly athletic and he hits hard. But let's have it right, yeah. Like you say, this is one thing I did notice. He either fights weak opposition or really, really, really good, yeah? And obviously, I think Lyndon Arthur maybe was a cherry pick gone wrong, lost, redeemed himself. And have you noticed that he never in against punches? So, and the 2 punches he went in against, he got stopped.
Kovalev, yeah.
And Beterbiev, he got stopped. I'm not saying he's cheating or anything. I know massive punches. And he got stopped, and I think he got stopped out of exhaustion. Maybe not from Beterbiev, but with Kovalev, because You know, lions in the camp, empty the tank, all that shit. More like hyenas in the camp, to be honest. But I just think, like, I don't know, he really needs to be consistent with his opposition and more active.
And where do we, before we move on to I think what is our last segment, Shannon Courtney, and this is kind of a question for you, but also me exploring it. At nearly 33, we've had since 20 issues, broadcaster issues, now coming over to boxer, obviously his first fight back. And you always got to allow a boxer, a fight like that, get the rounds in. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And the reason why we're being critical is because he's a talented guy and we believe in him and he's exciting when he wants to be.
I feel like he's wasted his career.
Yeah, where does he go now, Chris? Because he's nearly 33, right? Those physical attributes, at heavyweight, you can get away with it more because of your size. Light heavyweight, not so much. I don't think that those physical attributes aren't going to be there forever. Your punch resistance can wane as you get a bit older. He's been knocked out badly a couple of times. Where is his career going? Because I'm not entirely sure, if I'm honest. I don't think he'll be Buatsi at this moment.
Think he'll beat Buatsi. I don't think he'll be. Right, he said he wants to Beterbiev rematch, yeah? Or he said Beterbiev rematch, or he'll fight, he said, Dan Aziz, Craig Richards. For me, I think that he should fight Edmondson.
Are you having a laugh?
That's what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. But you see what I mean?
Stay away from that.
He's just fought a guy, yeah, that's giving help, who hasn't got any power. He's giving help, and then you want to go against the Terminator. It's not a good idea. But for me, Edmondson just beat Aziz. I think he should take that fight. They both just fought, so they both should schedule a fight, headline the show, and the winner of that fight Buatsi. But no, not Dan Aziz, Edmondson.
Yeah, brilliant shout.
Edmondson.
Yeah.
Because it's competitive. It's a 50-50 fight. Yeah, it's a 50-50 fight. It's competitive. We don't know who's win. And whoever wins that fight Joshua Buatsi. Because I don't think he's ready for Buatsi next. But I think he can beat Edmondson. But if he loses, I wouldn't be surprised. Good fight. And test yourself. And but if he just fights another journeyman that we've never heard of or an unknown and knocks him out in style and goes into the Buatsi fight, I just think, change the pattern, because it's not working. That shit don't work for you. You keep losing and step up. You've got to be consistent in the levels.
The only other two names I'll chuck in, just for entertainment purposes, for people watching, is probably for shits and giggles, because I think it'd be an interesting build-up. Willie Hutchinson or maybe a Craig Richards, just to see where he's at. That's the only other two I'd probably chuck in there. But Willie
Hutchinson will be a good fight for him, I think, as well. That'll be a good fight. He's only had one loss. Craig Richards, not so much, because he's had two back-to-back losses. So, so I wouldn't like that fight. But Willie Hutchinson, hell yeah, I'd love to see him in that fight. Willie Hutchinson, Edmondson, I think that's what's next for him. But we'll see. He'll probably just fight a journeyman or something. But we'll see.
If the Willie Hutchinson fight gets made instead, say if they do that, and he kind of does a really good job on Willie Hutchinson, not saying he would, that would kind of be a good marker as to where he's back at, and then he can maybe go into that Buatsi fight. Buatsi obviously did a really good performance against Hutchinson, so that kind of makes sense to me in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Right, Shannon Courtney, bless her cotton socks. This is a comeback after 2 years. High expectations to be the second female boxer on a Saudi card. She wanted to fight on the Fury undercard. All her dreams shattered now. She's had a really tough
Looks
year,
like
mental health and stuff. And maybe she came back a little bit too soon, or maybe she should have had an easier touch, or maybe she's just lost it. Sometimes you come back from boxing and you've had a bit of a time and you just can't get it back. Like David Price had some bad losses and he just couldn't get it back, and he just kept on losing to people that he shouldn't have lost to. And sometimes that just happens. Like we said before, Customato, it's 95% here boxing sometimes, like mental toughness. The training and all that's just a formality. You've got to have it here, you've got to have it here. And maybe she just quite hasn't got it there yet. And I don't know what's next for her, if she's going to carry on or take some time out, because it was quite an upsetting loss. It's supposed to be a comeback warm-up fight, 6-rounder, and she did quite poorly. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, do you know what? I watched the kind of interview leading up to it, which was quite an emotional one, to add a bit more context to what Chris was saying there. She has had some stuff going. I know she's been kind of railed into online, and she was talking about how she was playing up to her personality a little bit, playing a persona a bit. I don't know whether that was true in the kind of Ebony Bridges kind of era of her career. Maybe she wasn't being herself, trying to market herself a different way. If that was the case, it backfired, because she quickly became really unlikable. I'm sorry to say. People could resonate with her, didn't take to her personality. It just was a shame, really. And then you kind of, she's had a 2-year layoff.
The sound's a bit off. One sec. One sec.
Sorry about that.
We're back now. Technical difficulties. Sorry. Always StreamYard. We're sacking this one.
So I was just saying, I think what happened was just my conclusion to it. I managed to sort of watch it back today, and I think there was all this personal stuff going on, all this difficulty, you kind of mental health. I think she had a knee injury, 2 years off. I don't know if this was meant to be a cherry pick. If you look at Ramos's record, she's not knocked anyone out. I think it was deceptive, though. She was meant to be just a comeback fight, do a job on her over 6 rounds. Ramos come out as a sort of really punchy, on the front foot, vibrant 21-year-old, stuck it on Shannon Courtney. Shannon Courtney didn't have the legs or the movement to get out of the way, got a little bit kind of beat up for most of the fight, really. And I just think her opportunities now of going on to what comes next, I don't know if she's any more opportunities. That could be it. I'm putting that out there now. If that's the last we saw of her after that, I wouldn't be surprised, Chris.
Yeah, same. So just to finish off, I'd like to say, like, all these 3 cards, I hope everyone now appreciates Rider season and the Saudi cards. Yeah, this is what you get. This is what we was having for years. Shit like these 3 cards before Turkey Al Sheikh came along. Just so you remember. So remember this shit. Yeah, this is what boxing was like before Turkey Al Sheikh came. Remember that.
Perspective, people. Things in perspective.
Yeah. So when Turkey Al Sheikh puts a couple of shit fights on each of his cards, think about this and stop crying and saying it's not good.
Good point. Fair point, Chris.
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to think, actually, what was the best fight? Tim Tsyzu.
Yes, that was the best fight of the night, and that was on the PBC card. All the other fights were no good. All the fights in the boxing show, no good really. The Yarde fight was pretty good, entertaining actually. That Viscous gave it his all, and I did actually enjoy that fight. And Azim was all right as well. We got the stoppage, but OD was quite poor, and OD's never really exciting to watch anyway, because he's quite ponderous and slow. He's always been that way. So, and he's never really been that exciting to watch, to be honest. But yeah, that's it for us, basically. The weekend roundup of all them 3 boxing cards. Boxing Bros UK. Posse
Leave your
out.
comments.
Leave your comments. Like and subscribe, people. Like and subscribe. Peace.